Welcome,
Thank
Zayin
you.
Adar. This is a woman's share here, but you're welcome to watch behind the mechitza of your phone. No matter how you identify. Anyways, today's Zayin Adar, or was Zayin Adar, the day that Moses, our hero, was born and the day that he died. Haman, the bad guy, the villain,
Boo.
Boo, Haman. We need a Gregor. He wanted to snuff out the Jewish people, and he didn't know when his lottery to determine his day of good luck. He had to resort to luck because he knew that the Jewish people had merit, so he had to reach a realm of divine intervention that seems random, seems completely like there's ricochets flying everywhere. And at that level, Haman thought maybe he has a chance to swallow up the Jewish people. So he's casted a lot. He's like rigged his lot. So he every time it falls on something he didn't like, because he found a merit for the Jewish people in the various months of the year. He went through each month, and when he came to the month of Adar, month we're in now, it's 7th of Adar today, he found no merit in it, and its Mazel has no merit. There's no merit, there's no like great thing that happened with the tzaddikim in this month. And there is nothing positive about the astrological sign that Adar corresponds with, which is, anyone guess?
Astrological sun.
Pisces.
It's Pisces,
Yeah.
the fish.
That was a total guess.
It was a good guess. It's the last
Or
month
maybe
of the
like
year.
I knew it in my subconscious or something.
12th month of the year. Adar is the only month that becomes pregnant. And Moshe is born in it. Pregnant in the sense that you could have 2 Adars. You could have, instead of 30 days, you could have 60 days. So it's the only month of the year. Why? Moshe Rabbeinu was born in that month. This is a month that can transform the negative of what happened on this day, because it seems like we lost Moshe. Moshe died on the 7th of Adar. Why is a Yortzeit something to celebrate? Of course, we know, if you understand what a Yortzeit is, that itself is a Hilula. It's like a celebration of the soul's return to the Creator. But how does it impact on us? It's like, so the Rebbe emphasizes a lot that there's Ispashtus de Moshe b'chol dar v'dar. In every generation, there is a soul like Moshe Rabbeinu. That's actually going to be the soul that is going to be anointed as the Messiah, Mashiach. It's a Gilgul of the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu. It just appears in someone who has a completely different mission. Moshe was giving over something that was beyond understanding. And Mashiach is about taking that and make it understood at the deepest possible level.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
It says, what was the Hebrew sentence that you said?
Ispashtus, it's in Aramaic. The Moshe Rabbeinu b'chol dar v'dera. Here.
It means like spreading.
Yeah, you could see it in. See there?
So what does it mean in English?
The soul of Moshe Rabbeinu incarnates in every generation. We need to have.
Into one person?
Yes.
Because
There were times where.
Like spread.
Okay, but it spreads through time in a sense.
Okay.
So, Adar is a time of transformation. How is it transformation? Because the thing is, you have 2 fish. Fish is plural, no matter how many ESs you put at the end. It's fishy. You don't need it. Fish is plural. And the astrological symbol is the fish can go either direction. You don't know which way it's going to go. It's a very wiggly creature. So the Dugim is very much related to the girl, the lot that Haman cast to reach a randomness. The fact is, so what makes us so much greater in that we should come out on top despite all of our tribulations as a people, is that in that realm of randomness, God chooses us. That even though it is a world that doesn't take under account any merit. There's inexplicable things that happen to righteous people. It's impossible to understand. And at that level, the destiny is that it's going to be revealed that we are chosen even there. Even in the realm of randomness, there is this preference for the Jewish people, not because they have any merit. So Haman was right in a sense. There was no merit to the month of Adar. There's no tzaddikim that did incredible things in this month that he noted, and he was very wise in this sense. But he didn't understand that when it says Ein Mazel Yisrael, there is no astrological symbol for the Jewish people. The interpretation is the Ein Mazel, that there is no Mazel. The Jewish people aren't governed by Mazel, by the natural forces of the world. There's something higher than that governs a Jew. And L'chaim, did I say bracha? I can't even remember. I don't think I said L'chaim yet. I had it up in the air, and here's someone that arrived. L'chaim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu Melech Haolam Only Yahweh.
Amen.
Amen.
Zayin Adar, the day that's transformed into a day where the fish swims the right direction in Pisces, this random world becomes one that you still succeed in and you still shine. So that's the connection with women, because this is a women's class. It's supposed to be talking about women's topics. And that's simply because the Rebbe speaks in every single week. It becomes the main focus. This time it's in a very sort of disturbing scenario that happened in Crown Heights at the time, and the Rebbe was talking about it. It was the violation and murder of a Jewish woman, and the Rebbe speaks about her here as having something that's higher than regular dying al Kiddush Hashem to sanctify God's name, because it was a mother of children, and therefore there's so much hanging on her. There's so many souls that are so vulnerable and dependent upon her, that this is a type of Mesiras Nefesh that no one could possibly ask for. And therefore, the Rebbe says it's a Mesiras Nefesh, L'mayla Mesiras Nefesh. The fact that her children had to suffer because of her loss. This lady, her name was Lapine, if I pronounce it right. So the Rebbe said, this is the Rebbe's community. This is the place where the Moshe Rabbeinu, as we know it, is living. And the Rebbe here cries out 5 pages about this, about what this means to have a lady killed like this in the community. And he relates it to the true idea of a Kiddush Hashem, which is not the suffering of the exile that's gone on, and this type of incident reflects that directly, but it's supposed to be it's not a sanctification of God's name that his people are suffering and his people are not being victorious. That's why when in the desert, Moshe kept arguing it. If you're going to destroy the Jewish people, then it looked like you weren't able to defend them in the hostile environment and the conquest that they were set out to do. So the real Kiddush Hashem, the real sanctification of God's name is when you're in a state of redemption. As it says, it's beautiful words, so I just want to read it. V'kidashti hashmi hagodel, I will sanctify my great name. V'yedu agayim ki ani Hashem, and the Gentiles will know, and this is so relevant now, what's going on in the Holy Land. The Gentiles will know that I am Yud Kei Vav Kei, God's name. Hikdashi b'chem le'inechem, by sanctifying before your eyes, by showing that I took you out of the nations that you were cast out in. And I've gathered you from all the lands, and I've brought you into your land. And I have made you great, and I've sanctified you, and I've made you renowned before the eyes of many nations, and so that they should know that I am Hashem. So when you want to sanctify Hashem's name, the Jewish people has to actually succeed and have the land like anyone else and have spread peace across the planet. So the relation here between the female suffering and how that is a sort of a concealment of the ultimate degree, that it's meant to be something that revealed outwardly is seen as good, much akin to a birth. So Moshe's birthday and how that's the transformation of Haman's, he thought he had this edge over the Jewish people. We're going to cast him into a random world. And then we see that Moshe is born, that the possibility of having a nation that's favored simply because we are a reflection of the divine and not because we've done anything yet. Like, for example, the birth of a baby who doesn't have a name yet. And that's reflected in this parsha, of course, because the Ata Tetzaveh is the one parsha since Moshe was born that doesn't mention Moshe's name. Instead it says Ve'ata, and you shall command the Jewish people. Moshe's name is not existent there because he had said, even though it's conditional, he says, Im mecheni na mesifraka. If you don't agree to forgive the Jewish people, he said that he'd want to be blotted out from the Torah. And since he made, even though it's conditional, God forgave the Jewish people, but a sage that makes a conditional statement still is effective in some sense. So in this week's parsha, Moshe doesn't appear, reflecting his being erased from the Torah. This, of course, is a tremendous act of self-sacrifice because Moshe Rabbeinu was giving up the very thing that he devoted his entire life to, which was explaining and presenting, rather, the Torah to the Jewish people. And now he's going to be erased from it entirely. So Ve'ata Tetzaveh is the positive, the flip side of that is where it's not about what you can name about the people, what you can credit to them, but the very fact that you exist, like a birth. So here, it's a bit of obscure connection, but I'm saying that there is a concealment and then there is the unveiling of the meaning behind all the darkness and the suffering. And that I'm suggesting is likened to birth. So the most obvious idea about Zayin Adar that is related to the role of female, which again here the Rebbe says that in the merit of the righteous women of the generation, the Jewish people are or will be redeemed. So here it's such an obvious thing. Who gave birth to this person? Moshe Rabbeinu. He had a mother, and he was birthed. He was brought into the world in a way of minamayim mishasiu. He was drawn out of the water to give. Water represents wisdom, to give over wisdom to the people. So I'm not saying it's just a secondary role, but because the idea is that Moshe is a lot to unpack. He's a person, a soul that comes from the world of Tehu, which is a world that preceded this whole Jubilee cycle of the universe. It like recreates itself in a series of 7. The first time it wasn't a real physical world, it was a world of energy called Tehu, chaos. And Moshe, and also Hanayich is another one cited, and there's one other, and maybe Eliyahu can join the crew. People that managed to bring a realm of inexplicable wisdom. So Moshe couldn't speak. He got healed at Har Sinai, and he was able to communicate the entire Torah, the 10 Commandments, and ultimately write the final words of the Torah and give that over, ultimately, though, to be understood in the deepest way, as we said, through Mashiach. So there's a birthing process of bringing to light all of the meaning of everything, all how everything is supposed to be meant as a way to reveal divinity in the world, and this is the soul's path through it in the physical world. So I've said a lot. It's a bit of an introduction. I want to do a few segments here because I have like a million lines all over this that it's just so important to know this. A lot of this is based on numbers because you have a very strong theme of 7-11. Moshe Rabbeinu is the 7th of Adar. He was the 7th generation from Avraham Avinu. And it says all sevens are beloved. And Malchus, of course, is 7. The Sabbath is 7. The natural cycle has 7 days to reflect that there is a natural order that's meant to be brought the Kedusha of Moshe Rabbeinu into it. So, a little bit of tea. So we have 7 and we have 11. 11 is the Rebbe's number. The Rebbe he's even referring here a month before, and this was actually a few weeks before he had his second stroke. Zayin Adar. This is the Rebbe. Firstly, in this sicha, he refers to the latter stage of Adar at length, because there's 7 days. Again, you see the 7. The 7 final days, starting from Chaf Gimel Adar to the end, are the 7 inaugural days of the Mishkan. So Moshe Rabbeinu was the one who created this Mishkan. So you have 7 days of preparation, and you create a Mishkan on the 7th of Adar. I want to talk a lot about Adar because it's fascinating what the Rebbe does with the word Adar. It becomes Aleph Dar, that of the Alufa Shalaylam, the one, the unity of the world, Hashem, would live in the world. So Purim is great in that you can eat and drink and be merry with drinks and friends. And not like Yom Kippur, it's Yom HaKippurim. It's like Purim, but on Purim you get to actually celebrate. So Adar is when you put a dira, a dwelling place, you bring Hashem into the dira, in the place that you live, the place that is your home. And how do you live there? You live there with intensity. So Adar means Adir. Adir b'maram Hashem. Hashem is great and mighty. And it says that if you want your property to survive, you plant in it an Eder. And there's an expensive tree that if you plant that tree there, no one's going to question if you go away on vacation for too long and someone just tries to squat on your property. Everyone's going to know that it's his property because he put this fancy tree there, like a bonsai tree or something. Or I don't know what. So that's an Eder. Someone Google what an Eder looks like. It would be interesting to know. So Adar is a month where we're supposed to show this inherent strength of the Jewish people in a month where it has no merit unto itself because we are the merit of Adar. Why are we the merit of Adar? Because Moshe was born in Adar, and Moshe, there's a spark of Moshe in every single person. We have this connection to this general soul that's like very, very close to everything, to Hashem himself. And we're all connected to that. So our entire people is blessed in this month to the extent that it's brought in halacha that if you have a dispute with the Gentile, this is a time to confront him through the justice system because our Mazel is shining. Why is our Mazel shining if we don't have Mazel? Like we said before, Ein Mazel Yisrael. Because when we have bittul and realizing that like a fish, like I guess, because the fish is the Pisces of the month, the fish is unique in that it lives in its environment. It's not like a baboon or something that could hop about on its land and think that it's separate. The fish depends directly on it. Once in our philosophy class, they put it like on the chalkboard, like if you have tons and tons of fish, could they move? Could they swim if they're all like, the water is only so much volume, it's not gonna, how does anyone ever move anywhere? I didn't really understand that, but how do you move the water around to get by? I guess it's a little bit pliable. They say if you squish the universe into like a sugar cube or something like that,
No.
then you could like put it in your tea, I guess.
You'd have to put it through a black hole.
So there's other cute things about the way we're breaking up words, like Adir is also the Yud Aleph Dar. The 11, bringing you, living in the 11. And Bari, which is the word we had last week when we spoke about Zahav, gold, Zeha Nesen Bari, the one who gives gold. That's the person who's healthy. Bari, the Rebbe says here, since this is a month in Adar where our Mazel is Bari, it's healthy, it's strong, it's an Adir, it has strength. The Rebbe says Bari is Bar Yud Aleph, the son, the product of Yud Aleph. Yud Aleph is, we learned, there's 10 commandments. The 11th is like the author himself. Antu chad v'lo dechushban. You are one with not accountable oneness. So it's the one on top of the 10. When you're talking about numbers, you have 10. When you're talking about God's unity, it's only one but not accountable. So it's represented, welcome, by 11. And the Rebbe was inaugurated on the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th year and born on the 11th day of the 7th month, Nisan, or the first month.
What does 11 represent then?
11 is, there is no rules. It's miraculous unity when there's no separation between your very simple conscious experience and Atzmus itself, the very essence of God. That becomes synonymous. It's just an awareness that is promised, Maleh ha'aretz deya as Hashem. The world is going to be filled with the knowledge, the experience of Hashem. So when we speak about a bar Yud Aleph, the son, and the Rebbe says, what does it mean, bar? It's like the term ben chayrin, someone who's free. Shem metziusa hu metzius de Yud Aleph, whose very existence is the existence of 11. So if you're into numbers, this is extremely cool. Because everything is about 11 here. And the entire Sikha, there's two Sikhas in this parasha. It was, I think, the second last that the Rebbe spoke. Siso, I think, was the last he spoke. And there's two here. The other one, it speaks entirely about what Keteris represents. Keteris has 11 ingredients that make it up, and how it's meant to combat the 11 crowns of the dark side. We have 10 in Sefer Yetzirah, the Kabbalistic work. It says the count is 10, not 11, 10, and not 9. So to exclude 11 is the idea that the dark side perceives its existence, that there's them and then there's Hashem. There's the spiritual beings and then there's Hashem. So they include Hashem as if there's an 11th to the configuration of 10. Whereas in the holy side, it becomes one with the 10.
Are you talking about the spheroid?
Yeah, the spheres are 10, but there are 11 on the counterpart, the dark side. You understand why? Because they see it as separate. It's where it is in Kedusha, whenever we're talking about one, it's just Hashem. When we're talking about 10, Hashem's inherent to everything there. So 11 is the way you combat that. You do incense, which has 11 species, one of which is actually from a non-kosher animal, according to some opinions, showing that it's meant to transform even that. It's, I think, myrrh, which is myrrh, which you speak about a lot this time of year because of Chapei Shvat. Mushka, the Rebbitzin. So bar, like a ben chayri, like someone who's free, a free person, he's living at the level of 11. And furthermore, shebar hu melashon gilui. When we say bari, healthy, means the child of 11, like ben chayrin, the freedom that 11 produces or imparts, the freedom of the experience of 11 to be a ben chayrin, to be a free person. Bar means gilui. It means to express, to come out, to be seen. Behind shebechinas hayud aleph he begilui, meaning that the 11 is revealed. So when you are a ben chayrin, when you express about this idea of 11, that 10, the 10 commandments and all that represents, the 10 utterances that the world was created with. So all the normal rules, all the karmic laws inherent to the world, all the randomness of nature, is completely split open and cracked. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
And you're really a ben chayrin, you're a free person. So the bar yad aleph, to be healthy, live completely beyond and reveal it. Live 11 openly. Okay, so and then he says here, Adir is like Adar, so the month of Adar, 7th of Adar today. Adar is Adir, which means mighty, which are the letters Yud Aleph Dar. The 11 lives. Shebechinas Yud Aleph Dar means like lives in a settled way, or like a dira in a house. Shebechinas Yud Aleph Yechida. When we speak about the 11th, it's talking about the Yechida of the soul, the highest level of the soul. What he ba'ayfen shel dira begilui ubisyashvus. That is in a way of settled living, outwardly, openly. So in other words, experienced, and not in a way that freaks anybody out, but behisyashvus, something that's completely a lullaby. Not a lullaby, but settled. It makes sense. It feels right. So, Adir is to live this, to bring this into a settled existence in this world. That kind of reflecting something that's completely beyond the order.
So, can I ask a question?
Please,
okay.
please.
So if I understand correctly, 11, like when we talk about 11, like the evil, like the evil part of 11, they're all separate. But with the good part, even though it's 10 and 1, the 1 is in the 10, so that's where the 11 is.
Right.
And then with Adar and Deer, that's 7. So is it like that?
Which is 7?
The from Adar, like the 7, like
Adar. It's the 12th month. It's
Oh.
the 7th of Adar we were talking about.
7th of the Zayin Adar, right?
Yeah.
That is the that number 7. Is it at all like what I'm understanding when you say it's all kind of in that dwelling and it's calm? Is that like it's within, like it's revealed within the nature, but in a calm way? And the 7
right,
is nature.
Very organically. 7 is nature.
Yeah.
And interestingly, 7 in the Sikha, the Rebbe says here that we're talking about the healthy mazel of the month, the healthy luck. So the word dag, which is Daled Gimel, is 4 and 3, is equal to 7 again. And so that you have the fish suggest, the Pisces suggest, I happen to be Pisces, so I think this is extra cute for me, that the muzzle of the fish is a good mazel tov, the Rebbe says. And I said this in shul, and someone walked in and said, Mazel, what is a mazel tov going on? For sure. I said it 3 times, and he said amen. Because he's talking about here, debari batakif mazale, that it's healthy and strong, it's muzzle, it's luck. Okay, so this actually connects what we started with when we see where we take this. I want to read this section here that speaks about how Mazel, there's ein Mazel Yisrael. How are we supposed to have a strong, healthy Mazel in this month? If we don't have Mazel, I mean, I said this in the introduction a bit, but it says ayin. When we say that about the Jew, we really mean that his Mazel is shining in such a way that it surpasses any other regular order of Mazel. So, and how is that? Ein Mazel Yisrael says the ayin. HaChochma me'ayin timatzah. So it gives a clue what it means ayin. It means nothingness. It says we say that the ein mazel, there is no mazel to the Jewish people. It means there is a mazel. What's it called? It's called ayin. What is ayin? It's where Chochma comes from, where wisdom comes from. Wisdom comes from a place that's completely beyond mind. It's the realm of will and pleasure, Ratzon and Taina. The level of crown that sits on the head, which is Chokhmah. The mind only gets as high as Chokhmah, wisdom. Wisdom is the first of the spirits. So when you want to get to the 11th, above the whole order of 10, it's the crown. The Keser And that is called ayin she'ena musag. It's not experienced by mind. It gives birth to mind, to chachma. And it gives rise to behavior or consequence that is self-sacrifice, that's beyond anything to do with mind. So that's where the Rebbe ends with, I mean, pages and pages about this, about the self-sacrifice and how it's related to Mecheni Namasifraka. Just Moshe Rabbeinu, how he doesn't appear in this parsha as like to express his dedication to the Jewish people at his own self-sacrifice. Okay, then it speaks about Leda, which is very important because I made the case that this is a women's shir simply because Moshe was born, a woman gave birth to him. So the idea of birth is very important.
Okay, we'll go with that. Why is it a man's world?
If it's a man's world, why is this great man, this absolute genius of the soul, saying again and again every week in the virtue of the righteous women? He doesn't say the children, he doesn't say the men, he doesn't say the young men, he doesn't say the astronauts or the acrobats. He says women again and again, and he's quoting the Arizal. So I tend to say the Rebbe actually means it. I know the people in Toronto, when these words were said, were exceptional, exemplary. They actually pawned their jewelry to have money towards publicizing all these ideas. I think, though, the Rebbe's idea is the exact opposite. You're supposed to keep the jewelry and beautify, as we learned in I think the first class here, or the second one, about beauty, the importance of beauty and jewelry and gold. All of that is interesting that they did it for this purpose, and the sterling example of this. Yet I'm saying, at least now, after we have so many resources available, it's the time to put it into play in the simplest sense. And again and again, that's the message. Okay, let's just read this part about the idea of the birth of Moshe in the month of Adar, which is the birth of the Jewish people. Moshe hu Yisrael. Why? Because Moshe is the Jewish people. Moshe couldn't even lift the luchos after the Jewish people worshipped the golden calf, or the Erev Rav at least. He lost his power. We are completely one. Because birth is the idea of simply giving existence without any name, without any merit. Because of the time of birth, you don't have a name. So birth gives the idea of the very core identity of the soul, which transcends the 5 names that the soul is given at 5 levels. There's an etzin and neshama that's higher than even the yechida. Sometimes when we say yechida, it's just like also short form for etzin and neshama. But sometimes the Rebbe distinguishes it, so you have 5 and then there's something that's completely honest. That there's nothing, you can't give any number at the level of the etzim because it only is the unity of Hashem. That's all there is. So l'mayla filim yechida shegam hi shem la'etzim v'neshama. Even yechida is a name, and he quotes the Frierdiker Rebbe, I believe. V'zeu teichen inyan diskavrus Mazel shel Yisrael, and this is the idea of our Mazel being stronger in this time. Etzim and neshama b'chinas ayin. That's the part when we say ein Mazel Yisrael, we mean ayin, the essence of the soul, this infinite unity, is most pronounced in the month of Adar, and suggested by the birth of Moshe, who we're celebrating L'chaim. I wanted to put my 52, which is still floating nicely. I wanted to put it here like as if it was for Moshe, but I didn't realize there was 52. They just look
7,
like
right?
golden.
Oh my gosh, you're right. We didn't think about that. 52, 5 and 2, 7.
Oh, there's another 7.
There you go.
L'chaim.
Fine.
Fine.
So here we want to see how this relates to Purim. Shehaman Loya, the whole idea of Haman casting these lots, and he thought, oh wow, there's the time to do it because it's the York side of Moshe Rabbeinu. Ki anu reim shekol yamim shahayu b'nei Yisrael b'vachas hakan b'gzeres Haman hayu kulam b'chinas mesiras nefesh mamish. The idea of Purim, the reason why it's expressive of the Jewish people being at such a high level of tshuva is because they had an entire year of self-sacrifice. All they had to do is say, you know what? They don't believe in the unity of Hashem. That's all they had to do. And then they wouldn't be considered Yehudim, which is a Haidah, admitting that there's one God, and a Mesiras Nefesh Mitzad Nekudas Yadus. Yehudim means that you have self-sacrifice because you're just a spark of divinity called a Nekuda Yadus, the spark of Judaism that exists within every person. So that shined during the time of Purim because we had an entire year of this decree. If someone's, God forbid, had a decree, I mean, no one should have any decrees, but they annulled the decree from showing what was important to them. What they did, like, it's a bit confusing what problems. It says in Hayomim about the sins of the Jewish people in times of Hanukkah. Do we know clearly from the Rebbe what the emphasis is to be corrected there? I know that it has to do with the use of, or the attending of the party of Achashverosh. It was, I think it had something to do with that. The Gemara deals with it at least. Ki b'chol shah v'shah hayu muchanim limsar nafshan hariga v'loy la'avor das chas v'shalom. They weren't going to give up the religion, so they were always at the level of self-sacrifice. So the birth of Moshe somehow is connected to this. We'll see. Mesiras nefesh al kiddush Hashem, and here the Rebbe is hinting about what the community was feeling, and then it's addressed like 10 pages later. That woman in the community being killed. They would have got off scot-free if they simply denied their Judaism. He only decreed upon the Jews, the ones who kept the religion, and they threw their lives away the entire year, and they never doubted this path. The power to do that comes from this essence of the soul. That's what it looks like. It looks like a person who's completely animated and nothing can stop them, nothing can get in their way. Not even threats or anything. They totally believe in Hashem. That's the Etzem and Neshama. And that's what the birth of Moshe is. B'chodesh Adar, which happens in the month of Adar. Gilui Leida, it's the revealing, the birth, Gam Melashon Gilui Ha'etzem Yisrael, of the Jewish spark. So when Moshe is born, the Jew shines and he faces anything in his way and says, this is what I believe, this is what I live, and he's an Adir, a mighty person. Chaim. I think that's a lot. I think we should talk about that. Oh, there's one thing that's very important here. I want to just read this. I think I said it quickly before. So we say that there is no merit in the month. There's a couple questions the Rebbe has on that. There's no merit in the month of Adar, the Pisces, and there's no merit. What about Vayid Gur L'Roi B'Ker V'Aretz? You should be plentiful like fish amongst the land, amidst the land. And just like fish in the sea are covered over and they're not affected by Ayin Hara, because they're covered over and protected, doesn't rule over them, the Ayin Hara. So the Jewish people also are lifted above, or here immersed below, under cover, to not be affected by Ayin Hara. Because fish refers to the etzem, the very essential core of a Jew, is a fish, because Moshe was born in the month of Adar. Which transcends the entire idea of relative merit, bechinas ayin, when you've reached the level of ayin. Ein Mazel Yisrael ayin, which means mesiras nefesh, or just going beyond the intellect, going beyond chachma, from the level of ayin. So then it says, when it says that fish refer to the essence of the Jew. The Rebbe has a note on that note that says, "Masha'en kem b'shar chadashim," whereas the other months of the year did not have that expressed. Zchus Yosef, zchus, why? Because in each of those months they had their own inherent merit. They had the zchus of Yosef, the zchus of Peretz and Zarach, the children of Yehuda, zchus Daniel, V'kiyetzabai, and the like. Each month had its own merit. Mudgashes chazchus imyochedesh al tzadikim elu, to emphasize the unique merit of these tzadikim, these righteous people. V'loi ha'etzem de Yisrael, and not the Jewish spark, shehu b'chol Yisrael v'shava, which is in each Jew equally. So as great as Yosef Tzaddik, look who we've mentioned here, Daniel, thrown into the lion's den, as great as that is, there's something that transcendent of that's inherent to every Jew, regardless of their accomplishments, regardless of their merit. That's called the Etzem, the Yisrael. So that's what it's all about, and that's what we have to. When I say we got to be lit, that's what comes out. Especially with Purim coming, there's no reason why not to really celebrate it. You know, I'm not kidding, Sarah. When I say the celebration has to hit the roof, Adda Liada doesn't have to be through being splattered out on the floor. It could be through dancing and being really happy.
L'chaim.
Yes, he can. And he will.
Amen.
For sure.
Where are your kids gonna be?
So my, when the
Yeah.
for
When
the
they have,
yeah, they're gonna be with NCSY, like probably, yeah. I am. Yeah, we'll talk after.
I think I just wanted to do one more thing, because I think we covered it like a ton of ground here. If you play that in slow and let it sink in, that's packed. That's like 25 pages of stuff packed in there. But there's one verse that the Rebbe quotes that I want to read to you. It's when the Rebbe is talking about the word Adar, that the word of something, especially in Lashon HaKodesh, the Hebrew word, expresses its meaning. Adar means taketh v'gvura, strength and might. K'mayim Razala, as the sages teach, hareit seshis kaimun nechasav, someone who wants to maintain their property, yita b'hem eder, you should plant a special tree called an eder, shenemar adir b'maram Hashem, as it says, Hashem is mighty on high. Kalemer she'adar lashon kiyum v'chezak. So Adar means something that lasts and strong. V'lachen nikra Adar. That's why it's called Adar. Hainish b'chedesh zeh mudgash ha'chezek v'teik Yisrael, which emphasizes the strength of the Jewish people during this month. Shenikras Adirim, because the Jewish people are called the mighty ones. K'mayim Razal Adirim Elu Yisrael, as the sages say in Menachos. Shenamar v'adiri kol chatze bam. My mighty ones, all my desire is in them. Adir Melashon Chezek v'Emet, and courage as well as might. Lis Chazek v'Avedes Bayram, to strengthen in the service of our Creator. Kaleimer Miyuchad HaChezek v'Emet l'Siras Nashach be'Echad Shelamayim Eseichel, which means to be very strong in giving yourself away to the unity of God. Also spoke about at length how it's the Shema Yisrael. That's above mind. It's about what we spoke about what that is. So that verse is from Yirmiyah 31, just the English. Bahaya Adiroi. Hashem refers to Mashiach as his mighty one with the word Adar in it. Here it calls him a chieftain in this English. His chieftain shall be one of his own. His ruler shall come from his midst. I will bring him near that he may approach me, says God. For who would otherwise dare approach me? In other words, if you want to turn to Hashem, fine. But if you want to really get close to Hashem, you have to be taken there by Hashem. Because who would dare approach me? So Rashi, Adiroi, his Adir, Mashiach is his Adir, Sar Shalai, his minister, his prince. Araves Libai, who dares in their heart, Lashon Eravain. Araves Libai, he devotes his heart, I guess Aravain is a...
With an ayin?
Yeah, It's a trip, like when you give a deposit.
Exactly.
Legeshes alaihu, to
So
approach
they
me.
are on Shavuos.
Lim milchama limches biyadi. That's what Rashi says. It means to wage war against me. Limches biyadi, to stop my hand or something like that. Anyways, the Malbim I think is what I wanted to do on this one. The mighty one of Hashem, Mashiach, will come from them, from you, the menu, right? Ha'adir yeh mekerav ha'am. The Malbim says the mighty one will be from amongst the Jewish people. Loi ben nachar. He's not going to be the child of a non-Jew. V'lo yeh kamei b'bayisheni shenivchru adireihem ayidei ha'amim hameshlim aleihem. It's not like in the times of the Second Temple when they elected their officials from the nations. They just chose who was going to rule over us. So Mashiach's going to be elected by the people. He's going to come out from the election of the people, the choice of the people. And Hashem says He's going to bring Mashiach close to Him. I'm going to bring Him close. Hashem, that He will be amongst the close ones of Hashem. That stands in His palace. As it says, praise it as the one who were chosen and brought close. Because Hashem has taken these righteous people out from amongst the congregation of the Jewish people, to bring them close to Hashem. That this will be, the Malbim writes, through the will of Hashem, who chooses one individual, to be a treasured person on the world, Levi, like the tribe of Levi was designated special status, Aaron David, and the descendants of Aaron and David Melech. And from me drawing him close, spoken about God, Yigash alai, he will come close to me, who dares approach me, of his own. This can only be according to God's will. If God wills it, you get close to Hashem. So we're talking about a special closeness that Mashiach is going to exceed any person because God chooses this person as being the most righteous person that basically ever existed. There's some debate whether the first man before the sin was higher than Mashiach or not. But Mashiach is supposed to be higher than Moshe Rabbeinu and David Melech as well. Sometimes it says that David Melech is Malchus of Atzilus and Mashiach is Malchus of Ein Sof. It says that some tzedek says that. So basically, that was a heavy share. I did it in less than an hour, Baruch Hashem, but it's heavy. It's a very heavy
It's a lot
share.
to process.
It's a lot to process. I feel bad for you. But I hope like I do intend that it draws out conversation because this is really meant to be experienced and lived. It's not supposed to be an idea that sits in your head somewhere. It has to be inspired and brought on. It has to be seen as firstly that it's accessible, it's attainable, and that it's real. It's not like the Force loop. Like I was a kid, I wanted to use the Force. I wanted things to fly around the room. I thought that would be pretty cool. Did you ever play the game with your kid? You put your kid to bed and you say, which superpower would you like to have? Would you prefer this power or that one? X-ray vision or like flapping your wings and flying?
No, but I have thought about it myself.
So how was the honeymoon? Can we get an update on in front of the millions of viewers?
Oh, it was great.
Chasdei Hashem? The kindness of Hashem?
Yeah. Well, the warm weather.
That's for sure Chasdei Hashem.
Yeah. It was just nice to be away, just to take a break from.
Were you able to put away your phones and your work and everything?
Yeah. Me? Yeah, no problem.
That's great. And did you rock out?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You were excellent at your wedding. That was incredible.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Did they have that on video? Some people recorded it.
Oh, yeah. We also have. We were watching actually. Richard put pictures and videos on the screensaver, so we have like the video that where Kareem brought us into that room.
That
And
is-
everybody
that
That
dancing.
was amazing.
I
That was such a moment.
That was such a moment.
It's crazy. I'm like,
That
wow,
was-
this was awesome. Like when you look back, you're like,
Yeah, no one there will ever forget that.
no. I was like,
And that
Well, you know,
was your
while Richard
memory.
was giving
And
his
Kareem's.
speech, Kareen sneaks up beside me and says, this band wants to do the thing. And I'm like, and I pick up the schedule. She goes, screw the schedule. We're doing this. I'm like, okay.
I love that. I
yeah,
love
it was
that.
great. It was so
Yeah.
spontaneous.
So we have like we have videos of that. I'm like, and when once I saw the videos, I'm like, oh yeah, that was awesome. Like-
Yeah.
Like
It was totally memorable. I was very nervous though, after the first song, because they didn't really want us to leave, and that was kind of weird.
oh yeah, they apparently
Then there were other people that didn't want to leave.
they my daughter's friends got picked up and they ran after the car.
Oh, I better stop the video.
Oh sorry, they didn't stop. They left.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Not picked up by the band?
They were trying to pick up my daughter's friends. But,
Yeah.
they-
I saw that.
yeah.
They kept on coming back into the. See, that's why I thought that boundary was very, I don't know, sketchy. Because of that, it was so obvious that was going to happen.
We had fun.
We had so much fun. I was just saying that no one there will ever forget that moment.
That
Like,
was
who can
great.
say that at their
That was
wedding? I
awesome.
can't
That was
even
so
remember.
It
awesome.
was so cool.
And my daughter's friends are tough. They
Oh,
know
good.
how to be like.
They need to be. But some. Anyways, we'll tune in next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.